Lightweight, lightweight, baby.
Hey, how's it going? This is Danny from Made of Metal, aka Britain's strongest drummer, and I am here to talk about one thing and one thing only. This past weekend at Chaos Strength Gym in Preston, we had 24 or so of the strongest men in the country descend upon that gym to determine who will take the crown of England's strongest man under 80 kilograms, and which athletes would then go on to qualify for Britain's Strongest Man taking place in July. What a day it was. I had a great day. Some amazing performances from all of the guys that competed on the day. Let's just get right into it. I've got no script, no notes. I'm just working off adrenaline and from what I remember from yesterday. So yeah, let's go. So just to kick things off, I want to give a special shout out to Sonny Nash, who suffered a nasty concussion during the dumbbell event. He was working with the heaviest dumbbell, the 64 kilograms. It landed on him awkwardly. He said he was sick before he went out for the deadlifts, and by the time it came round to the farmers, his hands just weren't working, his balance was completely off, so unfortunately he had to withdraw. I have heard from him and he is feeling much better, and he's already looking forward to getting back into competition. And the great shame is that Sonny Nash was high on the list of guys that was picked to do really, really well at this competition. So I'm glad he's okay, and can't wait to see him back in competition. He's already talking about possibly attending some sort of record breaker event. So I don't know what record he's got in mind, but get after it, Sonny. So let's just go through these events one by one and pick out some performances from some of the athletes that were of particular note. Starting with that dumbbell. As I mentioned, there were three choices. There was a 42 kilogram dumbbell, a 53 kilogram dumbbell, 64 kilogram dumbbell, and it seemed that very few were going down the middle. There were lots of 42 kilograms, myself among them, and lots of 64 kilogram dumbbells, with probably about 5 or 6 53s. So yeah, a real spread across the board, and interestingly, not one zero, very close to a zero, very close indeed, was Dan Clark. He placed third at the UKNS Southern Qualifier earlier in the year, and he chose the 64 kilogram dumbbell, took a bit of a gamble, and just about managed a rep as the time was running out. So tremendous save from Dan Clark there, and picking up some valuable points. Another couple of lads who took a bit of a gamble with the 64, Lewis Blackwood. I don't think he's had much chance to train with the circus dumbbell. He managed to get a couple of reps. Matt Neese as well. I don't think he's managed to get hold of a dumbbell that heavy. He's been practicing a lot with the 53. He managed to get a few reps. But Thomas Hume with the event win with 7 reps. Tremendous performance, and not the last one from this man on the day. Moving on to the deadlift, we again had 3 weights, 195 kilograms, 235 kilograms, and that 275 kilograms. 6 reps. 6 reps was the magic number. 6 reps took the victory for Tim Daglish and Lewis Blackwood at the 275 kilogram mark. And at the 235 kilogram mark, 6 reps was good for Connor Cowens. Tremendous performance from lots of people here. Lots of personal best set. Tom Phillips managed to get a single rep. Nearly got a second, but just about failed just as he got above his knee, unfortunately. Then we move on to the farmer's walk, which caused a lot of troubles for a lot of the athletes. It was 110 kilograms per hand, run 3 lengths of the track, which equated to about 12 meters on the day. Now these handles, these farmers handles, I've done a few competitions at Chaos Strength Gym in Preston and done 1 or 2 competitions that Chaos have run and provided the equipment for. So I've used these handles quite a lot, and there is always comments every competition about these handles. They're slippery, they're awkward to pick up. They're not special farmers handles. They're not kind of specially made or anything. They are available through strengthshop.co.uk. You can buy them, you can train with them. But yeah, the handles are very, very smooth. I don't know whether it's because I am used to training with farmers handles. I picked mine up off eBay and the handles are really smooth, so maybe I'm kind of used to it. But prior to me going for my run, lots of lads were dropping. I think I may have been the first athlete. I went quite early. I'm not kind of toot my own horn too much, but I believe that my run was the first where there were no drops. And I know that a few of the lads dropped after me as well. So that was a real event that changed up the leaderboard quite a lot, but I had a lot of fun. And that was another victory for Tim Daglish with a time of just over 20 seconds, and just behind him was Lewis Blackwood. There were a lot of lads getting between 20 and like 23 seconds. That was a really good pace for that run. Tremendous effort from the guys on the farmers there. Then we had the fourth event, the moving medley. I've been calling it ever since the competition, the death medley. It was a 10-meter run. I said 15 meters in my previous video, and honestly, I'd been training at 15 meters. It was a 10-meter run with a 260-kilogram yoke. You drop the yoke at the finish line, run back, pick up a 100-kilogram keg, walk that 10 meters, then pick up the yoke, and then back and forth, 75 seconds. And that got tough quick. The first yoke run, I'm talking for myself, the first yoke run was fairly smooth. The keg, quite a heavy keg for me personally. Moving the keg wasn't too bad. The second yoke run was fine. I got 50 meters in total, so I managed to do 2 full lengths with both implements. And then just about that third pickup on the yoke, my legs just wouldn't work. I dropped the yoke a couple of times, just about got to the finish line before the time ran out. But this was an event that I think everybody found very, very tough, and that is reflective in the results. Yeah, so honestly, 50 meters and above was worth very good points. There was kind of a bit of a jump in distances. There was 50 meters, a couple of guys got 50, myself included, 55 meters, and then 60 and up. And the event win for this, Death Medley, the endurance event, it went to the endurance man again for the second year in a row. Andrew Keys taking the win with 70 meters. He loves this stuff. He loves the endurance, the moving medleys. He is going to be dangerous. UK NS, the UK final later in the year. We've got a max distance Husserfeld carry. I've told him that I'm going to be training with him because I want some of that magic to rub off on me. Like that's an incredible result for him, and shot him up the table. That was 70 meters. I think was a win by quite some margin as well. Yeah, coming just behind Andrew at 70 meters was Dan Ashcroft. Tremendous effort from Dan Ashcroft. He got 68 meters, and then dropping below that down to 63 meters. So there were quite a few guys between 63 meters. It was an awful event, a terrible time for everyone, which I think bled over quite a lot into the final event. Yes, the final event was a sandbag over bar. Again, 3 choices of weight, 100 kilograms, 120 and 140 kilogram bags. I think there were quite a few lads that were comfortably in training handling the 140 bag that after the death medley opted to drop down to the 120. I mean, I was always going for the 120 bag, but I did a warm-up pickup of that 100 kilogram bag and my legs were screaming. So even though I went for the 120, I did get 2 reps, personal best for me. There was a part of me that was like, am I taking too much of a risk going for the 120? Honestly, the combination of the moving medley into this sandbag over bar, we were all just husks by the end of it. And just had to summon every last ounce of strength to get through it. So you devious devils at Chaos Strength. And yeah, that's reflected in the results. The winning number of reps on the 140kg bag was 3 reps, and that was shared between Tim Daglish and Andy Smiles. Andy just body slammed that sandbag. That was incredible to watch. It was great to see him back to such a competitive level at this competition, and yeah, watching him throw that bag around, that was that was fun to watch. But yeah, Matt Neese in training, I know he was shooting for about 4 or 5 reps, and you check out his social media, you check out his training videos. On a fresh day, it's there. Easy. I up until watching Andy Smiles on the day, I hadn't seen anyone handle a 140kg bag as easily as Matt Neese did. But combination of fatigue and apparently a broken finger meant he only managed to get 2 reps, but it was a valuable 2 reps. Lewis Blackwood again took a bit of a gamble on the 140 bag. I don't think prior to that day he'd actually loaded a bag of that weight, but the guy is just so strong and determined that he managed to get a couple of reps anyway. And we now know who has qualified for Britain's Strongest Man coming up later this year in July. So let's talk about the podium. We'll talk about my predictions and the podium. My predictions, I predicted, in no particular order, I predicted Tim Daglish, Lewis Blackwood and Connor Cowans to make the podium. I got one correct. Tim Daglish is your reigning, defending, 2 years on the trot, England's Strongest Man. Second place, well fought, well earned, Thomas Hume. And in third place, Joe Daglish. Now, when I put a call out on Instagram asking for predictions, almost everyone name-checked the twins. Very few people picked one over the other. And I guess every single person that said the twins, well done, you got it right. So as well as those 3 gentlemen that are making their way to Britain's Strongest Man, also congratulations go to Andy Smiles, Connor Cowans, Dan Ashcroft, Andrew Keys, Matt Wally, Matt Neese, and Lewis Blackwood. I have got the order wrong there. I almost had the order committed to memory, but all 10 of those guys have got an invitation to Britain's Strongest Man later in the year. Well done. Can't wait to see what you can do. We know the guys that are going from Scotland. I think there's an Irish qualifier coming up as well. It's going to be one heck of a competition, and it's just one half of one of the most jam-packed weekends of strength that this country has ever seen. So yeah, let's just talk about some of the other competitors that were there on the day. Doug Bennett, tremendous effort from him. He came 14th. He is a Masters athlete. I'm not going to disclose his age, but he is hanging with the best of them. He was keeping up with everyone all day, and I think he has another competition in like a week's time. He is relentlessly competing this year. I think he may have done a handful of competitions already prior to England's Strongest Man, and he's got more to come. So Doug, I hope I can be like you when I grow up. And a shout out to new boy on the scene, his first ever strongman competition, Adam Romney, who placed 12th. He got a rep on that 275kg axle deadlift, which scored him valuable points. He told me that in 2021 he was laid up in a hospital bed watching the video put together of that year's under 80kg Britain's Strongest Man, put together by Joe Schofield, and he said it was his ambition to compete at that level. He didn't know if he could, he didn't know when he could, he didn't know how. But after something like 8 months of training, transitioning from bodybuilding, he's done his first competition, placed incredibly highly in a very competitive lineup. So The future is bright for this young lad. Definitely someone to look out for. At the halfway point of the competition, we did have a world record attempt for the under 90kg deadlift record by Dan Benson, who was going for 400kg, which was something like 15 kilograms above the current record, I believe, which is a crazy jump. Unfortunately, it wasn't quite there for Dan on the day. It did move. It got about 6 inches off the floor, almost to the knee. I know Dan is really, really disappointed. I can't imagine the focus it takes when you're gearing up for a lift of that magnitude. He said he is going to be back. I have heard of another under 90kg record attempt taking place at Fit Expo in a few weeks, I think. I don't think it's too far away, so we'll keep an eye out for that. But yeah, eventually someone's going to lift that 400kg, and it's going to be amazing when it happens. So yeah, all in all, it was a great day from top to bottom, start to finish, impeccably organised by the team at Chaos Strength, and it was an absolute pleasure to be a part of. As far as my personal performance goes, I could not be any more thrilled. Last year, I was a little bit sore because I underperformed on some of the events. I zeroed the overhead last year. I dropped the farmer's handles, and the bag toss was barely worth talking about. So this year, my goal was to go in, make no mistakes, and just do what I know I'm capable of, and I did it. I'm very happy. I placed 15th, and I said in the previous video, in the preview to England's Strongest Man, that anyone that places in the top 15 can truly call themselves one of the strongest men in the country. So, by God, I am calling myself one of the strongest men in the country, and I cannot wait to come back next year, 2024, and you better believe I'm not going to be sitting in the middle on those weights. I'm gonna tussle with the big boys. I'm aiming for some of those heavier weights. But before then, we have Britain's Strongest Man in July. That is on Saturday, the 22nd of July, and on Sunday, the 23rd of July, we have the Chaos under 90kg Classic, the Invitational, which is pulling together athletes from all across the globe for one of the most amazing weekends of strength you will be able to see, and you will be able to see it because it is all being live streamed via adl.pro, and I am going to be part of the weekend, and I cannot flipping wait. I have been Danny from Made of Metal, aka Britain's strongest drummer, and I'll see you real soon.